Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And I have a special guest with me here on the State of the Saints podcast. I have college football and NFL analyst Mike Detillier. Hey, how you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for being back here on the State of the Saints podcast to talk some Saints football with us. We really do appreciate it.
No problem.
The first thing is the first half of the season is over, Mike, and the Saints are 2-2 right now. They're a 500 team, but you look at the New Orleans Saints, it seems like they're going in a little bit of a different direction than what we're actually used to the Saints. You know, we're used to the Saints being a team that throw the ball down the field, explosive plays, but it seems like the running game has been the narrative of this team. So, Mike, what have you thought about the Saints running game the first half of the season?
No, when you're patient with the running game, you win games. This football team has played over 77 games under Sean Payton, in which they've rushed the football 30 times or more in a game. They've won 95%. Yeah. Okay. I didn't go to Cornell or Harvard or Yale, but even I can figure that one out. And that's pretty simple. Right. You got to control the tempo of a football game with the running game. And not every game is going to be 42 carries. Yeah. But you got to have some patience with the running game. You didn't have patience with it against the Las Vegas Raiders. You didn't have patience with it against the Green Bay Packers. And you got beat. You put your defense right back on the field and up and down the field. You couldn't stop them. Right. So, like, if before the game, somebody gave you the statistics of what the game was going to be at the end, first thing I'm looking for, the amount of carries rushing the football. Because that does mean something. You know, when you play in almost 80 games and you win in 95 because you rush the football 30 times or more, that tells you a lot about this football team. Absolutely. Also, giveaway, takeaway. Okay, you were dead even last week, 1-1. But time of possession, you basically captured the moment at that point. You were way ahead of the game. Right. And also, I look at third down conversions. I think that, to me, third down conversions and getting off the field on third down, that's as important as giveaway, takeaway. Right. The Saints, man, they were 10 for 14 on third down conversions. Wow. That's 71%. Yep. Hey, listen, if you get to 50 in this league, you're doing a great job. You got to 71. You took care of business against a bad football team defensively. Right. You did what you were supposed to do. But many times those type games sort of slip away. Right. What I was impressed with 6 starters out and 6 good starters out. Yep. The threat of the COVID situation possibly catching them overnight. And on the road, you know, you still found a way to win. And you basically gave them 14 points. Yep. Right off the bat, 14 points. You gave it to them, you're able to come back. So that, to me, showed a lot of grit on this football team, that they were able to overcome that. And I can't tell you why. I wish I could explain it. We've asked Coach Payton on the coaches show. He's always talked about getting off the fast starts. We need to get better in September. They've been a middle-of-the-road team in September. Yeah. Come October, the last 20 games, this football team has been 18 wins, 2 losses. Wow. That's not good. That's dominant. Yeah. When you can win 18 of your last 20 games in the month of October. Right. So almost like, man, listen, if they could have pushed this season back and not started till October, you'd be pretty good. Whatever. It's part of the game that when you look at it, you impress that you were able to control the clock. You got to stop when you needed to. And P-Rob's interception was big. I mean, because you could see Stafford was hot, and he was throwing the football well, get that pickoff in the end zone. But to control the clock, third down conversions, and with all the adversity around you, because nobody cares. Come on. You know, nobody cares in this league. They can care less if you got 6 starters out or whatever. You didn't get no sleep, man, that's your problem. I got no problem. You know, it's like hearing, you know, you work with somebody and they tell you, man, let me tell you about my problems. But, you know, you had your refrigerator go out overnight. your air conditioner's not working right. You got car troubles. Man, you say, okay, you got troubles, but look the troubles I got. So that's the way the NFL looks at it too. Man, I don't care. But you were able to fight through it. And then, I was impressed for a guy who did not see much playing time throughout the first 3 games. P-Rob played big.
Yeah, he did.
Patrick Robinson played big. He wasn't going up against no chump receivers. Detroit got some really good wideouts. I thought he did a heck of a job. He's earned himself the opportunity to see more playing time.
Yeah, absolutely. Patrick Robinson did an outstanding job, and he had a lot of members of the Who Dat Nation were really concerned when they see P.J. Williams and Patrick Robinson being on. I know outside.
I was.
I thought this was going to be a track meet, and I thought that Matt Stafford was going to throw for 500 yards, but they weathered the storm and they did a really good job in the secondary. I mean, you got to give them props for that. But you mentioned the word dominant. I don't think that any word would be better to suit Alvin Kamara right now. Alvin Kamara is playing like on another level. I think that he should be. I know this is very early, but you see, Mike, they normally talk about quarterbacks being MVPs. Why is it that somebody like Alvin Kamara can't be in an MVP discussion right now? Do you think he should be in an MVP discussion right now?
Yeah, I mean, you're quarter into the season, and so it's real early. But, man, listen, I work with 6 former NFL quarterbacks each week. And that thing is nothing trumps quarterbacks. And you know what? They're right. Nothing trumps that quarterback position. But, Alvin's been terrific for this football team. You look at it, what he's meant as a runner and a receiver. Is there a more valuable player in this league other than the quarterbacks than Alvin Kamara?
Yeah.
So, yes, he deserves to be, if you're talking about early, he deserves to be in that conversation because normally in the NFC South, the last couple of years, it's been Christian McCaffrey, because one thing with the Panthers, man, they feed him the ball.
Yeah.
It don't matter if it's 20 times a game as a runner, 6 times a game as a receiver, they feed it to him. Sean, I think at one time had sort of a pitch count with Alvin, kind of not wanting to get him beat up. Right. But without Michael Thomas, you had no choice at that point that you had to up that ante on Alvin Kamara. And I think that 1-2 punch, man, because my big belief is you see what Latavius Murray can add to this team, too. You need to get him 10 or more carries each game. That's why I think the big key to success offensively is certainly getting more people involved. And you saw it last week, Emmanuel Sanders, him being able to hook up with Drew, and also Traquan, because Traquan was the all-potential player, okay? He had talent. Mm-hmm. He was a good downfield blocker. He's a tough guy over the middle. But Traquan never played with a sense of confidence as a receiver. Man, you talk to some receivers, you'd swear like they're the greatest receiver since Jerry Rice. They don't catch nothing. Now, not that Traquan's like that, but he hadn't shown that confidence in his overall play. Man, people want to say, well, he broke this route off. No, it's not about route running. It's about between the ears. You got to believe that every game you're going to be dominant. I know one thing. When Michael Thomas hits that field, it don't matter if it's a practice or NFL game. He thinks he's better than you. And most of the time, he is. But he takes that mentality because he believes it and he plays like it. Yeah. Let's see if Traquan can build on that, because one thing this game might have been able to do is get that connection hooked up with the vet and Emmanuel Sanders, but also give Traquan that confidence that, man, listen, you can make plays. Just go out there and do it game in, game out, and add Michael Thomas to the mix. Nah, you talking now. Are you talking? And this football team has shown with their offensive line, when they healthy, they're as good as anybody. Now, we did see, too, once Ramchak went down, Ethan Greenwich, that was tough. He didn't know who to block at times. So, again, it goes back to, you and I have talked about this the last time. You can't know your plays every once in a while. Right. You got to know every play. That's why you sit in the bench and they're watching.
Right.
We thought maybe Adam Troutman would get more snaps in this game without Cook. There's a reason he didn't play, because I think the coaching staff maybe feels he doesn't know every little bit to put him out on that field.
Right.
But, I was impressed. Traquan, Emmanuel Sanders coming through big. But all of that was opened up because the Saints can run the football.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the Saints running the football, 42 times. I can't remember the last time I can remember the Saints running the ball 42 times. But, it was beautiful to watch. But, you mentioned Ryan Ramczyk. When he left the game, the running game left with him, and they put in Ethan Greenidge. But we know now that Ryan Ramczyk is in concussion protocol. How devastating would this be if Ryan Ramczyk won't be able to play this Monday against the Los Angeles Chargers?
Well, the good news is that you don't play Sunday, you play Monday.
Right.
So you got an extra day that he can come back. All concussions aren't the same, because I've been around enough NFL players. They'll tell you, get dinged up a little bit. Right. By Thursday and Friday, you start to feel better, and I work with A-Bear, and, he's telling me, man, I had a couple concussions. Might come Sunday, my head was still fuzzy. And like I told him, you still ain't got over that. You still fuzzy in the head from them concussions. And so, we get a good laugh out of it, but it's really not funny. But one of the things is every concussion is a little bit different. Hopefully he can come back and play. If not, my thing is James Hurst has played a lot of football in this league.
Yeah.
He's played a lot on the right side, but, man, the way Ethan played, I got to put Hurst in that lineup at right tackle. I got to do it because he's played a lot of right guard. He's played some left tackle, some right tackle. But my thing is, if he's healthy, and he gets it, man, Hurst is playing. Right. Because you can tell right now Ethan is not quite ready for prime time. I know buddy Zach Strief, man, he raves about him. He thinks that in time, Ethan Greenidge will be a really good NFL player. Yeah. But you could see, man, he was way ahead of the skis. That body was way ahead of the skis when he played against Detroit. And they were coming after him.
Definitely.
So, again, you're not playing in the backyard no more, okay? Right. For people, he ought to know his plays. What? Come on, this ain't flag football in your backyard. This ain't high school football and you ain't Al Bundy. This is the NFL. Them guys getting paid. And so you got to know what to do on every snap and know how to adjust. Now, remember, he came in initially for Tehran on the left side.
Yeah.
Because Tehran got banged up and he came in there. Then he went to Ryan's side. No, it's a big loss to answer your question. Yeah. I know it's a long way around it, but that's a big loss if you don't have Ryan Ramczyk in the lineup. Yeah. All this stuff about next man up, man, I never believed none of that. I'm not a big believer in that. That's great for high school football. That's great to tell in the locker room. But in reality is the Saints don't have nobody that can play right tackle, like even in the same zip code as Ryan Ramczyk. That would be a big loss from going up against the Chargers. And they got Bosa and Ingram. Mm. You playing two guys that know how to come off that edge really, really hard. And sometimes what you watch when you're watching film of the Chargers, you see they're not necessarily always right side, left side. They kind of switch around. So you got elements there, but you shouldn't lose to a rookie quarterback. Yeah. And I'm a big Justin Herbert fan. I really am. I think he's got a chance to be special in this league. But in watching film of him, he's doing exactly what he did at Oregon. He throws that little ball out flat to the receiver, out to the running back with Austin Eckler. Now, Austin's not going to be in the lineup. So how they're going to do that, it's going to be interesting. Is Kelly going to take over that role? I think you're going to see some of Tyrod Taylor playing some of the RPO plays at quarterback also to give him some sense of a running game. But either he throws it real short or real long. Yeah, because that's what he can do well. Man, he got a gun. He can throw the football real deep downfield. So the Saints going to have to be cognizant here of to show him a few different looks, not to give him that shot of sitting back in that pocket and just rifling it downfield. And we saw it last week, even against Tampa Bay. Yep. He had a couple of deep passes. What's missing from his game? The intermediate stuff. Yep. They don't throw a lot. They throw a little bit of it, but not a lot of it. Man, if I had Keenan Allen, that's what I'm doing, because that's where he excels, in that short intermediate part of the game. But with Justin, he's more of a stretch the field type guy. And so I can adjust my defense to that if that's what they're going to do, like they've been doing the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think Justin Herbert, I mean, he has great arm talent. I know they had a lot of question marks, him coming out of college, about his leadership and also like his deep ball accuracy, but he quickly answered those questions at the combine, when he was throwing the ball down the field. And I mean, the fact that he was thrown into the game, going up against the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, and gave them a run for their money. I mean, that says a lot about this kid, and I think the sky's the limit for Justin Herbert, no doubt about that.
But how much are they going to miss Eckler? I think that's a big key to this game. Because you know what? You can't be the one-dimensional in this game. The Saints should know, because they've tried that before. Without Eckler, how will they gather some rushing attack? Right. You might say, well, the rookie Kelly can do it. Well, here's my deal. If you're going to throw the deep ball against me, you know what Kelly got to do? He got to pass protect.
Yep.
I want to see if he can do that. Because one thing with a rookie running back, you got to learn, they don't ask you a lot to pass protect at the college level. But every once in a while, they'll ask you to come on in there. And that's what made, to me, Clyde Edwards-Helaire such a great player. Because LSU asked Clyde, when they spread you out, hey, listen, you got to stay in, help block. And every once in a while, boy, you saw that safety roll in on Burrow. And, Clyde's 5'7". Clyde just kind of cartwheeled him. He got low and just sort of cartwheeled him. Yeah. That takes a little bit of practice, because you're not used to doing it. And I think you're starting to see now what I thought would happen, that the offenses dominated the first quarter of play in the NFL.
Yeah.
It won't be much longer. Now, we getting a little cooler weather. The defense is not coming around, because you know what? If I'm a receiver and a tight end, I can go get my quarterback. Even in the COVID stuff, I can go out there and I can go practice it. Okay, if I'm a middle linebacker, how many dudes coming out work with me? In the offseason, in essence, I'm working out on my own. I'm not up against all of that. And I think you're going to start to see the defenses becoming better overall in the NFL. But it might be another week from now, because I still think that the offenses have a huge advantage.
Yeah, I think that I was shocked the way that you have teams that are known for elite defenses like the Seahawks. I mean, how many points they're giving up, and getting shredded like cheese, as I would say. It's just amazing. But I do think the offense has been dominant. I mean, you look all around the board. I mean, the offenses of teams have been dominant. I mean, we want to focus on offense. But let's talk about a topic that has been on the minds of a lot of members of the Who Dat Nation, and that's Drew Brees. Drew Brees, a lot of people have been asking the question, like, is he on a decline? Is he washed up? Can he throw the ball down the field? He proved that he can throw the ball down the field in a game versus the Detroit Lions. But, Mike, what is it about Drew Brees over the past few weeks? Why didn't he throw the ball down the field, in your opinion? Was it chemistry between those receivers? Or was it just the fact that maybe this 41-year-old quarterback may had to second guess himself?
Well, it's always more than one thing. There's always more than one thing. Listen, at 41 years old, you're not as good as you were when you were 31.
All right.
Bottom line, you're not going to be as good. And nobody, other than Brady, and I don't know what he's doing or drinking or taking, but man, he's still Brady like you saw 10 years ago. But he's an exception to the rule. And Drew is still going to be able to touch greatness. But here's the thing, is the consistency level of doing it. And I remember this. It was a couple of years back when the Saints signed Adrian Peterson. And, that was all kind of write-ups in the paper. Man, Adrian Peterson, man, we're going to see like the 25-year-old Adrian Peterson. I'm like, what? But I got a phone call from Jimmy Taylor, a former NFL Hall of Fame running back with the Green Bay Packers. Went to LSU, lived in Louisiana, and he was like, come on, Mike, ain't no way Adrian Peterson with all them touches, he can be a 25-year-old man no more. He said, listen, he can still be good, but he said, here's my thing about it, and I thought about it after watching Drew. He said, my last 2 years with the Packers, he said, throw out that last year with the Saints. He said, I was playing on behind an expansion team offensive line, and I couldn't play anymore. But he said, with my last 2 years with the Packers, I could touch greatness.
Yeah.
But he said, the part about it is I couldn't do it week to week.
Yeah.
Like the man upstairs sort of takes it away from you. And we get so used to Drew being great all the time and sort of carrying this team that when he's not like that, it's, he's all washed. No, he's not washed up. But he is showing some effects of getting older, like everybody else in this league when you get older. You're going to show some effects. Can he still touch greatness? Yeah, he still can. And you saw it against the Lions. Man, he got hot, and the Lions were like, oh, here we go. There ain't no way to stop him. And so I do think the difference we're going to see, and this is where the running game, I think, is so crucial, that in games maybe he isn't quite what we used to seeing. You got the running game to back him up.
Yep.
So he might not be great, but if he's good to very good and you got a running game, he don't have to be great. And I always believe this, that sometimes lesser Drew is better because you got to get that running game cranked up. So to answer your question, at 41, he's not the player he was 5 years ago. Nobody would be. It's just superhuman. That's why Father Time is undefeated and untied. And he got the ropes open tall. Hey, y'all want to walk in? I'll take on every one of y'all. Hey, we saw it. If it was Muhammad Ali, if it was Michael Jordan, if you name it, all those great players, Jerry Rice, you can go on and on. Father Time catches up with you. Can you still play at a high level? Yes. But it's the consistency level that the man just sort of takes it away from you little by little. And so, but I look at it this way. The Broncos a couple years back won a world's title. They won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. And Peyton will tell you, he got benched that year. They put in Brock Osweiler for a couple of games and then put Peyton back. But what they could do, great defense, running game. It supplemented that what Peyton didn't have anymore. And they won the Super Bowl. So as a kid, I saw the Baltimore Colts win a Super Bowl with Johnny Unitas. Okay? And Earl Morrall. Now, both them cats, they were way up in age. They were deep in their 30s playing, and they won a Super Bowl with those two guys. So, yes, there is the consistency level that won't be the same with Drew. But can he touch greatness? Yes, indeed. And we saw it Sunday. He was awfully good.
Yeah, he definitely was. It was something to watch, and it was just one of those games where I looked at Drew. It was almost like you can see the fire in his eyes, like you can see the passion. It seems like a guy who's seen all the tabloids and watched all the videos about how people are talking about how the Saints can't win with him as a quarterback. It seemed like he bottled all that up, and he went out there and he shut up a lot of critics. A lot of people out there.
We all know this, okay? Players and coaches all tell you the same. Oh, I don't read the newspaper. I don't listen to the radio. I'm not on social media. That's a bunch of horse hockey. Because they can tell you everything that people say. Why are you upset with the media or people that say something if you're not watching TV, listen to the radio, on social media? Come on. We all know human nature tells you you're going to go look at that. Because we live in that world today. We just live in it. No matter who you are, you're going to see that. Come on. That gets under Drew, because Drew's the ultimate competitor. And his deal is, okay, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. And but I think Drew knows this himself. The fact that we learning more and more about how close he came to retire after last year tells you he knows that, his time is basically, he's in the winter years of his playing career. And so we're going to miss him. All I know is,
we are.
And I say this today, I still don't think the quarterback of the future is on this roster.
You
I
took the
said
words
that
right
and
out of
look
my
at the
mouth. Oh
quarterback
my
of the
goodness.
future for the Saints is not on this roster today.
I
He's
said the same
somewhere
thing.
else.
Yeah.
And hopefully, he's a guy that can step in, because it's like you've got all the other pieces around you. All you need is a guy that can come in, just drive the car, just don't wreck it.
Right.
Don't wreck it. And so you can see the way this football team is built. But man, for this year, I think a big key is Sean Payton's patience rushing the football, and secondly, pressure breaks the pipe.
Yeah.
You got to get a better pass rush.
Yeah.
I think that's a big key, because they're showing they can stop the run. But to me, with your secondary, you got to get a pass rush.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of pass rush, since we're talking about this, let's talk about Marcus Davenport. Marcus Davenport, yet again, he's been dealing with injuries. But Trey Hendrickson has stepped up and has done a really good job. I mean, he's leading the team in sacks right now, quarterback pressures and quarterback hurries. Now, if Marcus Davenport can go on Monday, would you put him into the starting lineup, or would you make him battle it out with Trey Hendrickson for that starting position?
First game, I would start Trey. Okay, his first game back, I would start Trey. Right. But I would get Marcus a lot of snaps in there.
Right.
I just, the one thing about, I hate to be critical of any player with an injury, because everybody's tolerance of pain is different.
Right.
Some people, man, they can tolerate pain tremendously. And some guys can't, their play dramatically drops off.
Right.
And so he comes back from the elbow, then he got a toe injury. Okay, if you got a turf toe injury, man, you can't do nothing. With your big toe, man, that's difficult to run, to plant, to move, anything else.
Right.
Marcus is a very talented player.
Yeah.
The problem is, for whatever reason, he has not been able to hit the field. You gave up a lot to get him. So much is expected. When much is given up, much is expected from you as a football player. But to answer your question, if he's healthy and Trey's healthy, game one back, you come off the bench.
Yeah.
Trey deserves that opportunity to start and then let Marcus work his way back into the lineup. But it would be a big help for this team, because of Marcus gives you another athletic element. Trey, man, he gives you everything he's got, man. He empties the bucket every game. He empties the bucket as a player. With Marcus, you can see athletically, ain't a lot he can't do as a player. It's just staying healthy. And I can't explain why, but you see it patterned. A guy gets hurt, and he gets hurt again, and he gets hurt again, and he gets hurt again, and it sort of like stays with him for a long time. And you got guys playing this league 8-9 years, and they don't miss nothing, no time at all. Right. So he's a big part of their success, my opinion, for December and January. To have Marcus Davenport and Sheldon Rankins on the field in December and January is crucial for the Saints. Because they have not finished the last two seasons with those two guys on the field. Those last games, Davenport and Rankins were not there. They need them come when you're playing in December and January.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely need him to be on the field. Mike, I just think that a lot of members of the Who Dat Nation are just a little frustrated, because I think they look at it from two different angles, right? You see Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan has been the king of durability. For 10 years, he has never missed a game. And then they take a look at Baltimore, and they look at Lamar Jackson being league MVP. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people thought when the Saints moved up, trading with the Green Bay Packers, everybody thought they was going to go after Lamar Jackson. And they decided to get him. And you see what Lamar is doing out there, league MVP, taking a league by storm. And people are like, well, maybe Lamar could have been doing this with us. Why, why did we sacrifice so much for this guy? I mean, I know he has a lot of talent. I mean, you look at Pro Football Focus, I mean, his ability to stop the run. He's always up there in the top tier at his position at run stoppage. And like if a guy is starting off like that, eventually, I mean, he's going to become an elite pass rusher. And a lot of people compare his ability almost to a Javon Curse or you know what I'm saying, Jadeveon Clowney. But it just affects like everybody frustrated because he's never on the field. And as far as Trey Hendrickson is concerned, I've said this before. Like Trey Hendrickson is going to be a starter on somebody's team next year. I don't know if the Saints going to be able to sign him, but he's going to be a starter somewhere on somebody else's team because he like you say, he gives his all, and I don't think a lot of people understand like how good he was in college. I mean, he ran, he had some disciplinary trouble, but I mean, he had 13 and a half sacks his junior year and 9 sacks his senior year. So, I mean, if they can get this all together, if they can put it all together, I think the Saints, they have what they need, but it's just the frustration about not being on the field. That's what really irks a lot of members of the Who Dat Nation. I mean, I get emails and people inbox me all the time about that. No doubt about it.
Well, here's my thing. 31 other teams passed on Lamar, too.
Yeah,
this wasn't the Saints. Everybody did.
Right.
So if you the Jets, or if you Cleveland, all those other teams, you passed on Lamar, too.
Right.
And I do know the Saints wanted Lamar to come in to visit late, which means something. I think when they're asking you to come in. Now, Lamar's deal, how it was handled wasn't right. He didn't come in for that accepted invitation to come into work. Now, it wasn't just the Saints now. It was a number of teams he didn't come in for. Would that have made a difference? I don't know. Mm-hmm. I know with Sean, there are certain elements there that, he likes to see in a player. So you come in, you talking to him one-on-one, you build that relationship, and you can say, oh, it's Team Saints. Everybody has a say in it. All I know is I know the dude who got the chalk in his hand at the end, and that's Sean Payton. Right. He's saying, hey, listen, that's the guy I want. Right. So, you like a lot of other teams is, how did we miss on Lamar? Right. How did we miss not trying to understand what he could have brought to the table as a player? Right. The other defensive end, and Sean brought this up a couple of weeks to us, was Carl Granderson. And Sean brought, I think he made an interesting thing. He said, man, I just hit the league, because he's talking about Gruden. He said, I was coaching on that Eagle staff, and Gruden was there. And he said, I didn't have much interaction with him, but because he said, he was a defensive end. I was coaching on the offensive side, and I was a young coach. Right. But he said, who he looks a lot like is Richard Dent.
Wow.
And I thought about this because when Ditka was here, and you had some one-on-one time with him, we would talk about, certain players with the Bears. Mm-hmm. And he brought up the situation with Dent. He said, when he was at Tennessee State, he said he had teeth issues. Mm-hmm. And so he couldn't put weight on. So he said, when we drafted him in the middle rounds, we brought him in, and he talked about, man, I'm having trouble with my teeth and all that. He said, we got his teeth all straightened out. We got his dental issues straightened out. Right. And he said he went from like 238 pounds to like 270 pounds. Mm-hmm. But he said, you look at Granderson and how Dent are built are the same. And he said they both have the same sort of takeoff. Now, he wasn't trying to compare Granderson's talent to Richard Dent, because that's special. Right. But the fact that he brought it up, because he's a little bit like Coach O. He don't write the story for you, but he's trying to tell you something, that Carl Granderson's a really good player. Yeah. And now Carl's weights up, and he's learning the league very, very well. So, for the Saints, you would love to have Trey come back. Right. But it may be he feels he's got a better opportunity somewhere else. Right. But Granderson is waiting in the wings, right, so to speak, to take over that particular spot. Yeah. And with Davenport having so many injuries, you can understand why you would want that, and understand why. Yeah. This football team, man, they got the shovel and they were digging dirt to try to get Jadeveon Clowney. They were doing everything. Man, they dug a big hole to try to get Clowney here. Yeah. You understand now why. Sean always talks about pass rushers are a premium in this league. You got to do what you got to do to get them. Yep. And this ain't a Sean story, but it's a Coach O story. I told him, man, you find the next great pass rusher before you find the next great quarterback. And he was like, what? And I said, no, I got it backwards. You'll find the next great quarterback before you got the next great defensive end at LSU. It's hard. Those guys, when we go to these camps, and they start tweet. Okay, defensive tackles here, offensive tackles here. receivers, y'all go over there. Man, if you're in front of the receiving core, you get run over. They got so many guys running to that deal. Defensive ends, you can get in front of that. It's like 6 guys. They just walk around you. So it's a different world because I think 7-on-7 has changed the world. Mm-hmm. And you see, what was Marcus in high school? He was a wide receiver. Yeah. He goes to UT San Antonio, and Frank Wilson and I'll put him at defensive end. I see the best defensive end in this draft class, Gregory Rousseau from Miami, Florida. What he was in high school, he's a wide receiver. So that sort of thing, I think you're going to see more and more of. Those guys are few and far between. And that's why I think even in the colleges like in Alabama and LSU, well, LSU got one in Allie Gay, but you can see that those guys are not plentiful. Now, receivers, man, you got them.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but
every year,
defensive ends, they becoming hard to find. So I understand why Sean did what he tried to do to get Clowney here. Mm-hmm. And he might not be what you want to call an elite player, but he's very good. Yeah, he's a very good football player.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that stood out to me about Carl Granderson, Mike, was when they did an interview with him during training camp, and he was just ranting and raving about special teams and trying to be a good special teams player. And, you know, when you think about special teams, I mean, we all know that's kind of like the last line, you know what I'm saying, or the last way that you can actually make a team, or you go on special teams and then you develop, and maybe if they find a role for you, you know what I'm saying, at a wide receiver position or a linebacker position. But just the fact that he was willing to, you know, go out there and try to give his all for special teams, that stood out to me. You know, that shows me right there that his head is in the right place. And I also seen that strip fumble he had on Tom Brady. I watched that play. I mean, he got off the ball so fast. Like, it was in the backfield so quick. So he definitely got a very quick first step. So, I mean, Carl Granderson is one of those guys that, I mean, I'm glad that the Saints invested in him. I mean, we all know his story, you know, when the Saints first got him. But it's good to see that he's on the right track. I mean, he looks like he's in great shape. And I just like his motor. I think he has a lot of promise also.
Malcolm Roach and how Malcolm's developed too.
Ooh, yes.
And so the Saints, you know, they've got one of the best defensive line coaches in the game. Yeah. And Ryan Nielsen, I mean, it's unbelievable to watch him work with athletes. And I don't care if it's a high school athlete, college athlete, professional athlete, the technique part of the game. He sort of learned, you know, the technical part of the game from Ed Ogeron, because Ed was his coach at USC. He got his first start in the coaching at Ole Miss with Ed, and he's learned under Pete Jenkins. You know, Pete's the godfather of defensive line coaches. Mm-hmm. So you can see they bring in this young talent, and you know there's still a little bit of development there. But what he's done with Trey, what he's done with Carl, what he's been able to do with Malcolm Roach, with Shy Tuttle, you know, you didn't, other than Trey, you didn't spend a draft choice on Roach. You didn't spend any on Granderson, none on Shy Tuttle. Yep. So he's been able to take that talent and develop it extremely, extremely well. So, you know, it's a strong spot for the Saints. And it would be even better if you had Marcus healthy.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think that once he gets back into the lineup and hopefully he can stay healthy, you know, I think they will have a pretty good pass rush. I just think it's hard to, like, just kind of, I guess, dissect this defensive line because they never really been on the field at the same time for an extended amount of time. Like, they might play maybe 2-3 games together, and then someone gets hurt. And like you said, Sheldon Rankins and Davenport, I don't think Davenport ever played in a playoff game, right? I don't think he ever played in one. I mean, so I mean, it would be good to see these guys, you know, together and see what they, you know, can possibly do. I want to ask you a last question about Michael Thomas. You know, Michael Thomas, he's been out of the lineup with a high ankle sprain. Week 1, you know, I mean, friendly fire, you know, he ended up getting rolled up. He misses about 4 games. But there is talk to say that he could possibly play this Monday. Now, Mike, an elite wide receiver like Michael Thomas, would you risk him playing in this game against the Los Angeles Chargers, or would you wait till after the bye week, giving him an extra week to heal? Would you do something like that? Or, I mean, what is your take on Michael Thomas?
Well, yeah, I work with the crew at Thibodeau Regional Medical Center and the guys there that do orthopedic work and everything. And they'll always tell you it's at least 3 weeks, and you're not going to feel the same until 5 or 6 weeks. You're not going to feel 100%. You might be able to play that 4th week, but you're not going to be 100%.
Right.
The big part is how much pain and swelling's involved once you work in practice. Because now for the first time that you're putting some weight and, some torque on that ankle. Now you figure at wide receiver, it's your ability to get off the line of scrimmage. It's your ability to get into and out of a cut and a break.
Right.
All that's a lot of torque on that ankle. How well your ankle responds during the week. Now, it looked to be last week, his ankle responded pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times I see this in players, it's the second week. Man, my ankle starting to swell up more. Because now you put a little bit of tension, you've grown it for a couple of days with that, and then all of a sudden comes back. So his body's going to tell you if he's ready. And it's not Michael Thomas's call, okay? That's taken out of his hands. That's
right.
the call of the medical team and the head coach
right.
on if he plays. But in essence, they're looking at his medicals. If
right.
his ankle is swelling up, how well he feels. Because if you ask Mike, hey, can you play? Hey, I'm ready to play.
Right.
You can't go by the player. You can't go by him. You got to take it out of his hands, put it in the medical staff, and they see it. Okay,
right.
They see if you swelling up, and also, too, at one time they used to give you a shot and deaden that ankle.
Right.
Well, here's the one thing. You could play, and the next day you can't move your foot. It's like you're trying to drag it to walk. And it makes it even worse. I think he could play Monday night if everything is okay with the swelling and how well he maneuvers around. Now, will you see the Michael Thomas that you saw before? No, because that's going to be down the road. Right. But for most ankle sprains, it's funny. Last year, Tua Tagovailoa, he had the high ankle sprain. He played against LSU. Couple weeks later, he was good in that game, but he ain't playing wide receiver. Right. But then he messes up the hip. So he won the Bobby Bowden Award in New Orleans. He comes in here, and I got a chance to go behind, kind of backstage to talk to him and everything. He walked up the stairs, had no problems with his hip. He told me, what bothers me? My ankle.
Wow.
So we talking now, that's like 7 or 8 weeks later. He said that bothered him a lot, that ankle. Wow. So you get it that once you got it, and I've had a lot of the orthopedic guys said, when you got a high ankle sprain, it's like you broke your ankle.
Yep.
Because that's how it feels.
Yeah.
Into that deal. But for everyday people who maybe it's not on their feet all the time and that sort of thing, okay, if you sitting behind a desk or, you got a place you can kind of rest, it's okay. Come on, you can't do that on an NFL game. You got to play. So I think Michael Thomas plays Monday. It's just a gut feeling. I think he plays Monday. But I think they'll be very cautious with him on how they use him and the sort of plays that's called for him to be involved. Yeah. I think that they'll be cautious with that if he does play Monday night. But, man, Mike's a tough guy. You can't go by what Mike says, because, everybody said, oh, Mike says he can play. Man, that's the last dude I'm talking to. He's the very last one. Right. No, I want to hear what the doctor and Sean Payton says, because they see him. They see the medical reports on him. For an athlete, oh, yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
Right.
But I'm telling you, that's going to bother him. Not if he comes back Monday, he ain't cured. It's going to be another 2-3 weeks down the road before he's close to 100%. Right.
Well, do you think they will use him more as a decoy, or would you think he'll be an integral part of the
Man, ain't no decoy with Mike. If I'm playing him, there ain't no decoy with that. Man, my deal is, though, he's out there to catch passes. I ain't using him as no decoy. He's just a great player. And
Mm-hmm.
you saw for 2 games how much you missed him.
Yeah.
How much, because, we do live in a society where we don't want to believe that somebody's that much better than the next guy.
Yeah.
But there are people in every profession that, okay, if you hear, they hear.
Yeah.
Now, people don't like to hear that because we live in that everybody get a trophy society, everybody's happy and everything else. But there is a cut between the great player and a good player.
Right.
And Mike's a great player.
Yeah.
And so that's why he is who he is. You saw those 2 games, man, against the Raiders and against the Packers, where you staring downfield, hoping to make a play with somebody. And I think Sean's thought was, well, let's get Taysom Hill involved more with these RPO plays. That ain't worked because now everybody knows what you're doing.
Exactly.
Unless you change that up and let Taysom throw it, then you defeating the purpose. See, Taysom's not a natural option quarterback. Man, you watch him in high school and at Brigham Young. Come on, he was in a system. Hey, in the shotgun, catch it, throw it a designated area.
Yeah.
Come on, he wasn't running no option.
Yeah.
At Brigham Young. Now we did take off and run with it.
Yep.
If nobody got him, say back there, with pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that part, Sean Baby better rethink that because now defenses are wise to you.
Yeah.
They know when he's in there, it ain't no RPO play. It's RRO. It's run option. Just grab him onto the deal. And I'm not crazy about taking the football. Occasionally you can do it. I'm not crazy about taking the football out of number 9's hands.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of glad that happened because, in that Minnesota Vikings game in the wild card round, when
he was
Taysom Hill,
awesome that game.
Yeah, when he was everybody was like, "Man, they should have kept the ball in Taysom hands." But I think that Green Bay Packers game show you why Drew Brees is more qualified to play that position than Taysom.
And now he's wanting to make a play so bad, he's making a mistake.
Yep.
Because you want to try to help your football team out. Man, listen, I've been around Taysom. He is a great competitor, and he wants to help his team so bad. But a lot of times, as an athlete, you got to understand, you got to relax and just go out there and play. And you can see Taysom is sort of tense a little bit. Man, I want to help my team. I want to make a play. And he makes a mistake. Yep. And, so then it becomes not the physical between the ears. You're trying so hard to try to make a play. Yeah. And occasionally that's great. My thing, if you're going to use him, coming out the backfield, little short pass, throw out in the flat, got to beat one guy.
Right.
One guy, one-on-one, and then he comes to the open field after that. Yeah. So the quarterback deal with him, unless you're willing to let him throw it, then that RRO option, run option, man, everybody and their brother knows what's going on now. Yeah. We just don't go after the pitch man because he's not pitching it. He's keeping it. He's going to run it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, when I heard he was they were practicing last week and he was working on a goal line, I was like, well, maybe they have him passing the ball because I think an NFL network or reporter said that. And I was looking for him to, they did run a play for him in the red zone, at the goal line, and it didn't work. I'm like, why are you not trying to implement some type of passing play to confuse the defense? I mean, he is a quarterback. I mean, he's tough. He'll lower that shoulder and run over a safety in a minute, but he's still a quarterback. So, I mean, I didn't understand it. I really didn't.
One of the things, when you remember back when Tebow had that one season where he was pretty good in the league,
right?
How he caught you sometimes was, okay, he's in the shotgun. He takes the ball. He tucks it under his arm like he's going to run and stops and then throws it over the top. Right. And I remember he did that at Florida against LSU near the goal line. He did the exact same thing. So, my thought is if I'm going to use him near the goal line, I mean, everybody's going to be jammed because they think Taysom's going to run it. Yep. My thing is, okay, I'll show you the run look, snap it to him, let him take 2 steps over the top, roll your tight end or roll a receiver right over the top, and it's an easy throw for him.
Yep.
But I do think that experiment, I might want to unplug that for a little while.
Yeah.
On him running. Because now, I watched enough film on you. I know what you're going to do with it.
Exactly.
I know what you're going to do. And he's not natural, so to speak. Like you see some guys that could run that triple option and they go down the line of scrimmage with the ball like they're going to keep it or pitch it.
Yeah.
And that guy gets in their face and they can throw it and it hits that halfback like that. And then he can take off running. You watch Taysom. He's not like that. He's keeping it. He's running it.
Yeah.
He ain't looking for the pitch. He's not looking for the pitch. Now, Jalen Hurts is different.
Yeah.
Jalen's a little bit different, but he ran a lot of that at Alabama.
Yep.
He didn't run nearly that amount at Oklahoma, but he ran a lot of that at Alabama. Go down the line of scrimmage, and he's keeping it, and then you get in his face, and he'll take one more step, and then he flips it to a back, and that dude's like 25, 30 yards downfield.
Right.
But with Taysom, he's never played in that type of offense, and so, again, I think you got to get away from that. Let number 9 throw the ball. Let number 9 throw it. Let Taysom be used as a runner or a receiver coming out of the backfield.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that Taysom, I think he just gets so excited that his number get called, and sometimes he don't make the right read.
He wants to make a big play.
Yeah, because I remember one play, he had the run pass option. Well, he had the run option, as you say. If he would have gave the ball to Alvin Kamara, it was like on a draw play.
Yeah, it was wide open.
Yeah, it was like wide open. I think it was against the Falcons. I think it was on Thanksgiving. Alvin Kamara, I mean, he would have hit his head on the goalpost. I mean, because everybody expected Taysom to run with the football. But I mean, I just think sometimes, like, I guess when you're on a bench or you don't get your number called as often, you get the ball in your hands and you just can't resist, But for the most part, I know that Taysom, I mean, he is a weapon. I wish the Saints would kind of open it up a little bit more with him, become a little bit more innovative, and I think that you'll really see his skills be put on display. But Mike, I want to say thank you very much for being a part of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for your time, your knowledge of the game, and just let everybody know how they can get in touch with you.
SaintsReport.com, WWL.com, also on the Sports Illustrated Saints News Network.
Yeah. And also, you check out the Second Guest Show on Mondays on the beach.
Yeah, we have
County.
I got to call Mayberry down, but we all good.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy listening to you two on WWL. I mean, I always check you out, and it's always fun. I mean, two guys. I mean, knowledge is just out there. You know what I'm saying? Just always learn something from you all, and we really do appreciate you, Mike. Thank you so much, and we look forward to hearing from you on WWL.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Always my pleasure to be on with you.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
All right.